Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we are diving deep into what makes a spicy scene actually good and very much not good, to the point where I ask, hey, where's the bleach? Because I need this out of my brain immediately. In all of the time of me reviewing books on this channel, I have reviewed an awful lot of spice. Use me, my tattooed lover, filling me with glitter, with starlight, with spirit and flame and shadow and absolute goddamn magic. This is what it meant to be right. Puts his fingers in her papaya. Spicy scenes in literature, particularly in the subgenres of romance, dark romance, and fantasy romance, have been quite a lot of my complaints. If I think back over the books that I've read, even just recently, a lot of my complaint was how spicy scenes were handled. And somebody DM'd me at some point asking, hey, are there any spicy scenes that you actually like? And the answer is yes, there are. But I am admittedly picky, but I think that I have figured out the formula of what works. So today I'm going to sort of be like your spicy scene sommelier, where I'm going to tell you like, this has notes of, and this one is too bitter and doesn't work for me, and such and such. So I have prepared a video essay that explores the elements that contribute to both ineffective and effective spicy scenes in the genres that I read in. Outside of the genres I typically read in, that's none of my business. I mean, you can probably apply this advice, but I'm just saying that from what I've read, the sample is what I have read. So everything from Nocticadia is the most recent one, and then one that I read more further back would be like, well, I just reread it, but Guarding Temptation is one that I read recently, or reread recently, but I've read before. Spoiler alert by Olivia Dade, The Never King. I do have to say that some of this is going to just be that like, this is incredibly subjective. Like if you ask somebody what makes a good pizza, they're like, my answer to that is going to be entirely different from Carlos's. I always have to start with so many disclaimers because otherwise people get like real weird. But to me, these are my thoughts on what makes a good spicy scene. I'm not saying this is the genre convention that has to be, but I have been very loud about what I do think works and what I don't think works in spicy scenes. I've been very loud about this for years on the internet, and parts my folds because I mean, frankly, some of the stuff that is said in these spicy scenes is just like it vacillates between like me scratching my head and me going, I want to crawl into a hole. The word weeping is one of my icks. I don't like when we say the word weeping. But you know who hasn't been loud and has been incredibly quiet is today's sponsor, which is Bellesa. Bellesa has a new Whisper collection, which are their silent toys, and the proof that it's silent is that this one is currently running and you cannot hear it. You see how the little red light's on and you hear nothing? Nothing. It's just a little whisper. Bellesa makes sure that you never need to choose between power and discretion, so chili pepper time without waking up your entire household. This is the Whisper Rabbit, which has two buttons, one for this little guy and one for this little guy. Both are running and you can't hear anything. They have the Whisper Rabbit, they have the Whisper Wand, and they have the Whisper Bullet, all of which will stay silent. But can you? You just hit the button to turn up the intensity and you still can't hear anything, even on its highest speed. Silent but deadly. Whisper Bullet in particular was made with aesthetics in mind. It's super cute, looks like a tube of lipstick, and nobody's gonna know. Bellesa is a by women company whose mission is to have everybody embrace, empower, and learn about their spicier side. All of these are great for beginners. With these two only having one button, this is like foolproof. You just press the button, you hold it down to turn it on, and then you turn up the intensity by pressing, and again, you still can't hear anything. And you hold it down to turn it off. All of these are great for partner play. Any toy is great for partner play if you're creative. But this one in particular is great for traveling. They're waterproof, they're easy to clean. They just charge in that little charging point right there on the bottom, that little dot. Everyone who uses that link down below wins a free Whisper Vibe or a free viral rose suction toy with any Whisper purchase. So click the link below to grab your new vibe, and thank you so much to Bellesa for sponsoring today's video. So this is going to discuss a few things that I think make or break a spicy scene. So things that I think make a spicy scene: emotional resonance. What? Resonance? Emotional resonance. How did I already mess up and I just started? Artemis, focus, help me. I love her so much. Pacing and build up, in character behavior. One very important piece of this: spicy but not ew gross language. Because the like pivotal thing that will break the scene for me and make me want to gag and stop listening is disgusting language. Things that ruin a spicy scene for me are insta spice or insta wanting to get spicy between characters who have zero chemistry, both between each other, and there's been zero chemistry built up between the reader and the character themselves. Like, I have no investment. The other part, number 2, anatomy that sounds like a cursed version of Mad Libs. So if you know, Natalie and I did a Mad Libs video together, and yeah, that's basically how reading these spicy scenes feels. I need another now. Dick. I need a food. Dick. Where we just are picking random things to call the, you know, this. No. Bad dialogue, like using things like my seam, and I think we've all made fun of to the point of it being like disgusting, the phrase slammed it to the hilt. And a very important piece of this that I will use the entire Fourth Wing series to explain is repetitive scenes where I can't say that word, arrival feels like deja vu. It feels like being served the exact same food, just on a different plate. Spicy scenes in books are more than just titillating interludes. They are an important piece, often, of the book's character development and emotional resonance, or at least to me they should be. Like, I think that a spicy scene can be just as important as a first kiss, as a first, like a meet cute. It can be, it doesn't have to be. I think that romance without spice is totally fine, but I think that when a spicy scene is used, it should be used the same as these important pieces of a character, 2 characters or more, depending on how, you know, spicy we're getting, pieces of their, you know, mutual character development, relational development, and also just in general, like emotional resonance, thematic depth. Did you know that spicy scenes can also have thematic depth without being cringy? Yes, it exists. So to me, a spicy scene actually hits when we integrate it into the story in a way that feels authentic, in a way that feels like it's earned, and that adds more to the story. That's when it hits for me. Doesn't have to for you. That's just for me, okay? If your spicy scene does not peel back more emotional layers of your characters like an onion, like ogres have layers, I think so should your story, and that includes your spicy scene. And when it doesn't do that, I just have to wonder why I'm wasting my time. It just feels like we hustled as fast as possible to get to the spicy scene, and I'm like, why am I even here for this? A spicy scene that is good, to me, is like a well-aged Merlot. I don't drink Merlot, but my aunt ensures me that this is true. It's complex, apparently. I don't know. Ask my aunt. It's flavorful. It leaves a lasting impression. It's like character development with or arrivals. I just want some meaning with my moaning. A bad spicy scene is like boxed wine from the gas station. It's cheap, it's rushed, there's no emotional finish. If your characters just met on page 7 and I barely know anything about them, and they are already shattering into a million stars by page 9, I have to file a formal complaint to the Ministry of Pacing. We're just immediately in here and I don't like that. He arched off the bed as hot blood rushed into her mouth. It tasted of long summer days and midnight trysts. It tasted of days and midnight at the same time. Great. It was ecstasy, and it was just the push she needed to tumble over the edge, and she arrives. Her head fell against his shoulder, and his arm wrapped around her possessively as if they'd done this 100 times before. But they haven't. This is like the first conversation they've ever had, and they just came. The weirdest part is how quickly everything changes. Yes, that is the weirdest part. That is, in fact, the problem I had. She says, I think we're about to have sex, but sex is not like this. Sex is not going from 0 to a million this way. It's normally awkward. And I'm like, why are we going from 0 to a million? Can we stop and have a conversation? I'm begging for some communication. Effective spicy scenes are not isolated events. I'm not here, really, to be titillated, personally. That's just not what I read books for. I'm here to form an emotional attachment, and if the spicy scenes go the right way, I'm rooting for them until the language gets bad. I like when a spicy scene advances character development, reveals vulnerabilities is a good one, and sometimes, as long as we're not doing it in a very cringe way, marks pivotal emotional shifts. Example, the way that this was done in The Dare by Harley LaRue was done well because it is a very spicy book that is about emotional shifts and Jessica revealing her inner vulnerabilities. That's basically the entire book. Now, in a fantasy romance scene, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but we often do things where a spicy scene might also include like breaking of magical barriers that are also tied to like a character's insecurities. So finally, the main character can use their magic. And then in dark romance, sometimes we do exploration of trauma, power exchange, psychological evolution. Now, where these scenes can get bad is if it feels like filler, if it feels like we're trying too hard, and if there is like a abrupt shift in the narrative. Puts his fingers in her papaya, and mid-eating this papaya, I want to stress to you that he's up close. He's eating a papaya, okay? Delicious fruit, YouTube, okay? It's just a fruit. Calm down. He's eating the delicious papaya, and he looks up at her and says, "You're not a spy, are you?" And she's like, "What the fuck are we doing?" She says, "Fuck you." He interrogates her. He's like, "Why did you ask and eat my hot dog?" She's like, "I just wanted to." And he's like, "Okay, then come here and I'll finish eating your papaya." And she's like, "No, bro." And honestly, I was really mad about this, and I kind of stayed mad about this. Like, I docked a whole star for this alone. I don't like that he picked that fight right now. I don't think that he properly apologized for this ever. Like, not properly. Like, honestly, you should have gotten down on your knees and said, "That was one of the worst things I've ever done. I was eating the papaya when I asked you if you're a spy after you ate my hot dog." That's crazy. And instead of realizing he's being so inappropriate, he's like, "What happens to us after all this, Asbeth?" She's like, "I haven't thought that far ahead, sir. I'm just trying to stay alive." So an example I can give you of an abrupt shift in the narrative in a spicy scene is in I just read Nocticadia. The maddening lust for his lechery had me feeling like I might combust from the tension. "Look how well you take my hot dog. You were made for me." There it is. I've been waiting this whole book for the line to show up where it's always like, "You're a perfect fit, just like you were made for me." Ugh, I hate it. Something clawed inside me. At this point, I'm like, "Oh, is it worms?" God, I hope so. It begged me to turn away from him, to push off and curse him, twisting and writhing in my gut with a furious determination to break away. And it's not worms, it's love. She has this whole piece where she's like, "Just me. I don't want to talk. I feel like I'm being eaten from the inside out. And it's not worms, it's love." It felt very mechanical. It was weird to feel like suddenly we're shifting from spicy to we're having this incredibly emotional moment right at the end where the main character is realizing she's in love with this man. And I felt so incredibly detached from this at this point. I was wishing that the feeling in her was not love, but instead was the parasitic worms, and that she was dying. And this is because despite being 700 pages, the book did not earn any emotional attachment from me. And also the spicy scenes have terrible language in them. Oh yeah, then they finish and it says, "While he settled back on his thighs, he continued to thrash his hot dog." He's thrashing, Book's words, his hot dog. "And seconds later, hot jets painted my thighs." Ew. As if he was marking me. I have to be attached to the characters in order for the spicy scene to be good. A good spicy scene to me is character driven, actually. It's not just about bits slapping together. It's about what's going on behind the eyeballs. In a well-written spicy scene, we have spice with soul. In a bad spicy scene, it's just thrust, thrust, moan with no emotional sauce. Just imagine these are like paper dolls. It's like just reading two paper dolls just smashing together. Oh my God, I can't believe I do this for work. This is ridiculous. It's just like, oh, how can we smash these dolls together? Why should I care? To me, it's flat and awkward, and just because you're using this like very typical masculine male, feminine woman smashing bits together with this like dialogue where he's like, "Oh, I bet you like that." It's not doing it. It's not, I don't care. I want to yeet the book across the room. So she would think about the fact that this man abandoned her at a river and she swore revenge, but his pants dropped to the floor and he had a male, not female smile. So
where's that blasted salami? I can smell it.
What's a girl to do? It doesn't feel emotionally grounded. It doesn't feel human at all to me. A bad spicy scene is when the characters are out of character, but first you need to establish good characters in the first place. She says that she looks up at him and she feels love struck. And I was like, whoa, hold on.
Can't believe you're getting so worked up about some guy. We are very early in, man. You need to calm down.
We can't rely on formulas and cliches that strip away individuality. If I have read the exact same spicy scene before, I don't care. And I can give you, again, another example of a book where I read the exact same spicy scenes back to back is Nocticadia and Gothicana. I'm going to enjoy every minute of knowing I'm the only man who's ever tasted you. I'm gonna ruin you. Oh, here we go. It's always with the I'm gonna ruin you. Please. It's always with the greatest dick to ever dick down. Any boy who comes after me will leave you deeply unsatisfied and you'll be left for your own fingers, desperate to remember the time you had your professor's face between your This is almost identical to Gothicana.
She's like, you're not conventionally handsome. I'd say that Jack is conventionally handsome. And he's like, why did you hold hands with him coming out of the woods when, you know, they were running away from the shack in the woods? And he says, whatever this is, it cannot happen. I'm dangerous. Girls who tangle with me dance with death.
I don't fit in.
I want to you in front of that boy you held hands with. That took a turn. He's like, this is madness. And if she, you know, was supposed to respond with something normal, she doesn't. She says, if this is madness, then drown me in it. And then they start making out, and I died inside.
And then, you know, we get the typical spicy scene language that says, you should see the way you glisten, you taste incredible. He teased my entrance. The word entrance always gets used. His tongue laved at my sensitive bundle of nerves. It's the same jargon in every single sex scene. I would have rated this higher if the sex scene had had different language in it, honestly. They're not bad, it's just I wish that those typical terms had been swapped out with something else. Wildcat, when I finally get you in my bed, I'm not stopping until you forget your own name. Oh my god, where have I heard this before? Every other book that I've read. And in every single one, a little piece of me died. He calls her a demanding creature, and then he says, you'll know no other man can make you feel the way I do. Yep, there it is again, so that we know that he's the biggest eggplant to ever eggplant, and the best eggplant to ever eggplant, because he's the main character. She says, I think you've ruined me for anyone who doesn't have tentacles. You know what? I really should have used my bingo board because there's always like a you've ruined me for other men in these books. Give me your hands. He says, you can take it. Don't look away. There's my girl, came his low growl. You can take it. You just said that. It was hard to know how much time had passed. 10 minutes? To put it in? Girl! His attention settles in the apex of my thighs. Hold please. Hold. See, this is the part where I paused the book and said, okay, if we're starting this scene with apex of my thighs, we're making bingo. So I made spicy scene bingo. Let's see if I get any bingos. You fucking tell me so you know when I ruin you for all other men that it's what you asked for. I should have put I'm gonna ruin you for other men on the bingo. Damn it. And you know what? It's not that it's bad. It's just that it's sad that I can predict this stuff. Like, I just wish the authors would come up with new stuff. Some of this isn't cringy. It's the same as every other book with smut in it. And I'm starting to feel like y'all are just writing the same scenes. You're just mad-libbing your way to a sex scene. And I'm just a little disappointed in the lack of, you know, uniqueness. I honestly should have put give me one more on the bingo card because like acid reflux, I can feel it coming. Speaking of coming, example of a spicy scene that I think is good. Well, some of the spicy scenes in this book, not all of them. Some of the language in a later spicy scene kind of gave me the ick, but that's like entirely personal. The earlier spicy scenes in Lights Out, I think are great. This book like leans pretty hard into the kink of like orgasm denial. So if you are into that, this book is for you because that's what plays out here. Where she's like, if I don't finish, I'm gonna fucking pass out. I'm gonna die actually. Anyways, I'm not gonna read it, but he makes her finish and he says to her, I'm gonna find some way to next time make you come even harder. And she's like, is that safe? And he says, only one way to find out, are you in? And she says, fuck it, yeah, I'm in. The longer I've sat with them, the more I'm like, that added to the characters and the story in a way that has become like when I compare two books and their spicy scenes, I'm always going back to Lights Out. This is definitely a fantasy because only in a fantasy would a hot stalker man and shows up in a mask in your car to drive you home so you get home safely also bring you snacks, which she ate before she blew him. She texted him saying, have you ever heard the word boundaries? And he says, doesn't sound familiar. Can you use it as a sentence? I'm not gonna lie, I am into sarcasm, and if a man was sarcastic to me like that, I don't know, I might be down. They play Would You Rather, which was actually quite cute. Like they by themselves already have chemistry, which was nice because I'm glad that we're not just doing like it's her and the faceless man who's stalking it, but like actually putting them together was quite smart. Because they do have chemistry like on page together when it's just Allie and Josh and not just Allie and the faceless man. He looks at her and he says, "Are we doing this?" So we're asking for confirmation. We're making sure that this is not actually a stalker assaulting somebody. Good. He didn't have to explain himself. Doing this meant finally playing out our shared fantasy. Now, is she, how do I put this without getting demonetized? Sitting on a knife at his insistence? Handle side, not blade side. Yes, she is. But this aligns with the characters' personalities, that's a weird sentence, and the book's discussion on power play, power dynamics, and taboo. All of it is consensual and all of it works, and it's very much understood that the person that Josh is inside the bedroom is like a construct that they have agreed upon. He is not Zaid from Haunting Adeline doing this without consent. So it feels very in character for Josh and Allie to be doing these things in Lights Out, and it also feels earned. The language in spicy scenes is really important in ensuring that I don't get the ick and want to bow out. I will lower a rating of a book if the spicy scenes have language that I find disgusting and repeatedly says that her inner walls clench. And so there's liquid, obviously. Do you see that? That's all for you. I'm gonna shove this big in you and make you take every last ounce until it's pouring out of you. We just repeat this like at least 5 times throughout this book.
Gosh, it disturbs me.
And then he repeats again that he wants her big and swollen with his young. We hear repeatedly about his big, hairy, rhymes with calls, swinging back and forth. No, thank you. I can smell the sweet honey that flows out of that tight little right now. Be fucking for real. She says, I maintained my confidence right up until I saw the rock hard pillar of marble and desire waiting at my entrance. What a great euphemism. What I'm about to read to you is a line so ridiculous. I was reading this in bed. I got out of bed. I walked downstairs. I made my husband stop playing Call of Duty so that I could read this out loud to him. Are you prepared? I don't think so. The space between infinities engulfed each slow, hard thrust, filling me with glitter, with starlight, with spirit and flame and shadow and absolute goddamn magic. This is what it meant to be right. No amount of vibrating toys or swirling, suctioning lips and tongue compared to the secret treasure chest of oxytocin that he alone had managed to unlock. It pumped through me like the most delicious and explicit of intravenous drugs. I reached up to touch his utterly perfect face, and the sound he made as he kissed my palm was so tender it nearly broke my heart, except my precious organ was too pickled in serotonin to ever experience heartbreak.
Turn myself into a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
Hoje ainda passo, tô fora. I just want to go back real quick to this is what it meant to be right. Being right means filling me with glitter with starlight. So at this point, I thought that that literally meant that he is inside of her and he had glitter. That's what I thought that that meant. In her inner monologue right after this, it says, "Do you like that?" So first of all, that's a tense switch. And the inner monologue is completely unnecessary. I don't understand. And third, I hate the question, do you like that? I truly do.
Certain words will make me immediately want to close the book and run for my life away across the river Styx, but not into the arms of Hades, because Hades and Persephone both use the word I don't like it. I don't like it in any context. Something about it just gives me the no-nos. And so that's a problem for me. And if you were listening to this on audio, which is not good, and hearing them say it's like, oh wow. So if you read this in text and I just like sub out the word for something else, it's actually not bad. Like it's actually, I could see the appeal. I get it. So like when he says, this is his inner monologue, I cup her I can't help but growl when I find her wet and wanting. I'm like, okay, first of all, growling, this is definitely feeling like Sarah J. Maas, but the word I hate it. Also, cupping, I guess I could, but the word is terrible. It's a terrible word. I hate it. I don't know what word I would want instead, but I don't like it.
He's between her thighs and it says, every exhalation is warming her entrance. Got one. It says, he felt the hot, slippery kiss of her through his boxers, scalding his and sending sparks of desperate pleasure down his spine. If her skin was oxygen, her must be life itself, and parts my folds. I'm not asking for poetic prose. I am not asking for much, I feel like. I want it to make sense, so no lines like he tasted like sin and secrets. I don't know what that means. I am good with she arched into his touch like she'd been starved for touch for centuries. That sentence would need to get edited and cleaned up, but you get what I'm saying. I'm doing this on the fly, okay? Cut me a break. I don't want terrible euphemisms like, slammed it to the hilt, so his, this is a sword. I also don't want a biology lecture from a nun from the Victorian era. Like, I want it to be explained. I just don't want it to give me the ick. Now, I don't know that anatomical terms work for me. I think I like when we just use the word rhymes with flit, but I don't like when we use the word sort of rhymes with Beavis. I don't know what my preferred euphemism is there yet. I haven't quite found it. But depending on the book, the word chicken does not always bother me. Whatever we used in Lights Out, it wasn't memorable enough to make me go, ew, gross, so whatever it was fine. Another example of mostly fine, in fact good even, is Guarding Temptation. So he says, what do you want, sweetheart? And she's like, listen, we've done other stuff, can you just me? I know you want to probably do all that romantic shit. And he's like, nah, we're f***ing. Your wish is my command, etc. And I was like, you know what? That conversation works for me, actually. I don't hate that at all. I want to watch you f*** yourself on a for me. He's into toys? Oh my god. Oh, that is such a green flag. Some of the language got a little, oh, I don't like that, but most of it was fine. I think the issue I take with Guarding Temptation is like sometimes the way that they talk outside of the bedroom and inside the bedroom, I didn't really know them to be people that talked in a certain way. So like it felt, and it's such a short book, so it's hard for me to feel like, is this really within character or not? I think I would need a longer book to really explore that. And then you also have to look at like what genre we're looking in. So a book like The Never King, I feel like was kind of weird in how it like it's supposed to be like kind of gritty, but then we were talking about food in a way that I felt was kind of awkward. So she's eating cloudberry pancakes, whatever the fuck the cloudberries are, and it says that she moans eating the pancakes, and one of the twins gets a fucking boner. A more like lush fantasy romance, like When the Moon Hatched, is gonna in general go for more lyrical writing, so the spicy scenes are gonna go for that, except When the Moon Hatched ended up saying he was gonna split her like an egg, and I was like, that feels bonkers away from where we have been previously in this book as far as writing style. What's happening here? So if the tone is different, it can be jarring and therefore just yeet me straight out of the scene and into my text with my friends where I'm going, what the fuck is this? A poorly written spicy scene, they often are going to falter and make me stop like being engaged and like caring. It takes a lot for a book to like actually like make me hot under the collar, but like I just want to care, and I stop caring when we use clumsy metaphors, anatomically confusing or anatomically gross descriptions, or when that tone is jarring. The euphemisms that are used in a lot of books just absolutely throw me off, like seam and flower being used for downstairs parts. I've just read too many and I'm tired and a little dead inside. Another thing that makes a good spicy scene is clear and contextual consent. Consent is really important to me because as soon as you have me wanting to call the FBI, I'm docking you at least one, if not all the stars. Yes, I said. No safe words. You want me to stop? Just say so no matter when. This is consensual. All of it is consensual, which I really appreciate, except the stalking. But I will say he is going to apologize for that later, which honestly I appreciate. Do you know what you're asking for? I know I trust you enough to put myself at your mercy. And they have this agreement that's no safe words, but their safe word is just stop. Like, stop is also a safe word. And so he stabs a knife onto her mattress and says, I want to watch you ride it. If I had a nickel for every book I've read this year that had somebody riding a knife during sex, or having sex with a knife during sex, I'd only have 2 nickels. It's just bonkers that it's happened twice. They pick a safe word and it's chainsaw. I'm just glad a safe word got asked for, honestly. No complaints here. It doesn't have to be a notarized contract. Not asking for that. I like when we have conversations around safe words. So a example of this I think would be Lights Out, but then I don't think that when we did Deep End by Allie Hazelwood, I don't think that having the safe word be safe word was a good idea. In The Dare by Harley LaRue, if I remember correctly, the safe word was either stop or red. I think that having responsible conversations around consent is a really good idea. I'm not asking for a contract, I'm just asking for a conversation. He says, "Can I take you to bed? I'll try to keep it fast." And I'm like, why are we still talking about the fast thing? You haven't even asked. Like, have a conversation. Ask her, is this something that you're like, you just like want a one time and done? Are you only into like quick sex? Like, what are we, like, just a crumb of a conversation. Especially because like sex is really important to have consent around and understand people's boundaries and wants and desires. And like, she's not even understanding where he's coming from. And that's part of my ick, is that she doesn't really understand why he's saying these things and she just keeps going along with it. I'm not quite sure why Liam wants this. If it's some impromptu fucking that means nothing to him, but has lots of heartbreak in store for me. Maybe we should stop here. Maybe you should, and have a conversation and then proceed. In a bad spicy scene, we have either no consent, haunting Adeline, or we have books where, you know, your mouth says no, but your eyes say yes. No, I don't like that. Get in the trash and take your excuses with you. I like having an established conversation, or even if it's just a, we doing this? You good? Yes, and check-ins are great. How are you feeling? You feeling good? Not a, oh, you like that, but a, are you okay? A check-in midway is great for a new couple. If we have more of the schmink side of things, then I think a conversation similar to how we did in Deep End, where we talk about limits, is a good idea. I think this also helps the reader, because then even readers who have hard limits on what they're willing to read in schmink know what they're getting into and know where to stop in the book. I don't like non-con books. I don't like dub-con books. I've never read a non-con, dub-con scene where I felt like it wasn't a case where I wanted to call the FBI. I also don't like books that say, oh, it's too far to stop now. I think you've seen me say multiple times, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I don't like that. I need you healthy for the things I want to do to you. Now leave before I can no longer control myself. Why is every man a predator? I'm tired of it.
We get some more sex scenes where it's like, if I touch you, I won't be able to stop. And it's like, ah, dang, you lost me, because now we're doing that stuff that sounds like borderline rapey. Like, you should be able to stop, though. If she says stop, you should be able to stop. So, ew.
He says, if we start, I won't be able to stop. That is my most hated line in fiction. She says, I don't want you to stop. But what if you did want him to stop, is the thing. He just said he couldn't. Okay, I'm just saying, if my husband says that to me, I'm stabbing. What do you mean you're not able to stop? What does that mean? No, go on, elaborate. I just think that's the most unsexy thing. Oh my God, he has no self-control. And it's always the man saying this, and that feels really icky to me. So immediately, if that's in a scene, I'm docking stars and I'm calling the cops. The other thing that I want to mention is that I think that foreplay is not a suggestion. I don't think it's a suggestion in general, if you know what I'm saying, but I also think that in the book itself, it's not a suggestion. Emotional tension is the meat. I can't, there's nothing to eat without the tension. And I just don't like walk into a room and I'm like, immediately yes. Like there has to be buildup. I want a yearning glance. I want a forbidden touch. A hand brush. And I do like innuendo as long as it's earned. And, you know, if several chapters before we're having banter with innuendo in it, I can do it as long as I like the characters. A good author will edge you. I'm going to leave that line in. That's hilarious. With exquisite tension. Yeah. So that the payoff is earned. Earn your payoff. That's like, all of this is important to me, but earning your payoff, I cannot stress to you enough how much I want you to earn your payoff. You have to make these things satisfying. I want to be kicking my feet. I want to be giddy. I want to be rooting for these people. But bad spicy scene included books just dump characters into a situation, whether that's the office or a throne room or a cave somewhere, before I'm even like emotionally ready. We just skipped all the appetizers and go straight to what ends up being like a very mediocre chocolate cake for dessert. A good spicy scene is about anticipation and timing. Spicy scenes are powerful when they come with a long like setup full of tension and anticipation. And it doesn't have to be like enemies to lovers, will they, won't they? They hate each other, so they probably won't, but yes, they will. You just need emotional buildup that will make the climax, both figurative and literal, more satisfying. The pacing has to mirror the emotional readiness of the characters and the narrative arc. You're supposed to be weaving these things in seamlessly. Like, it's supposed to be like a dish that you have expertly combined, which is why I think that Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade is a great example of not enemies to lovers, but building towards a spicy scene in a contemporary romance. If you want one that's more historical romance, I think, and these were such good spicy scenes. I think The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes is such a good book with spice in it.
This book has great sex scenes. I'm not saying good sex scenes, great sex scenes. However, sex scenes are supposed to be written according to me. This book is the blueprint. He likes to be topped. I'll leave you with that.
It feels earned. And there's so much emotional resonance in it because the main character, that past experiences have rendered her not really interested in P&V spice, which is so rare. Typically, what we see is that P&V spice is like the ultimate kind. We're all just working towards that. And then, of course, as soon as we do it, it's the best of the best. In this, there's egging with a P, and there's other stuff, and they have conversations about like, oh, well, she might never be interested in, on her end. Again, this is another example of a book where I'm like, this feels like the blueprint for what I actually want out of a spicy scene. Another contemporary adult romance that I think does a really good job of earning its spicy scenes is this book, The Music Man retelling. I think we earned our spice. We had normal conversations between them. We had tension between them. They didn't really agree until they did about outside the bedroom stuff. We had good pacing and emotional buildup and tension and anticipation with all of these that I've mentioned. I think out of all of them, again, Marion Hayes is my favorite out of those three that I just mentioned, but all I think do really well. And part of that is because we didn't rush into things. We took time to build up our characters, build up who they are as people, and then build up this couple together, who they are both separately and together. We laid emotional groundwork. It doesn't feel premature. It doesn't feel unearned. But something that can make me lose patience, even in a long series where we're supposed to be building up that tension and stuff, is repetition. And the biggest culprit that I can think of repetition is this video that keeps getting demonetized and booted off YouTube because I said the word rhymes with pick too many times, where I discussed how every single scene in the Fourth Wing series across 3 books is exactly the same. Now I'm going to play this bit for you and hope that YouTube does not demonetize and again give me a strike on my account over this, so I will once again be censoring the shit out of myself even further, but I hope to explain what it looks like when repetition ruins spicy scenes. Now, if you've already seen this, you can go to this timestamp. There are 8 scenes throughout the entirety of this series. Fourth Wing has 2, Iron Flame has 3, Onyx Storm has 3. I broke them down scene by scene. Here's 1 page, and here's, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? 8 scenes. All of these are the exact same thing with some slight variations. Now, what's my expectation? I'm gonna be honest with you, at this point, I don't know why Violet can't sit on face. I'm just gonna say it. I feel like at this point, we can't emasculate Xaden. I think that that's what's going on here. And I think that this series is not brave enough to just have her sit on. It's the same thing over and over. Fourth Wing, second scene, Iron Flame, first scene, Onyx Storm, third scene. Okay, so 2, 1, 1. First book, second book, third book. First things first, we get a little bit close, and somebody is spearing their fingers through the other person's hair. It's normally Violet doing it to Xaden. Sometimes it's Xaden doing it to Violet, but that always happens first. His hands are in my hair. He spears his fingers through my braid. I spear my fingers in his hair. 1, 2, 3. Iron Flame, second scene. His grip tightens in my hair. Iron Flame, third scene. I weave my fingers into his hair. Onyx Storm, third scene, sliding my fingers into his hair. Okay, so that's always the first thing that we do. Actually, before we get into this, I'm not saying that other stuff can't come up regularly. So having 2 to 3 scenes in each book is not the problem. That's fine. Saying the words, I need you, is fine, and they do get said in almost every scene. His was nudging at my entrance. That happens in almost every single romantic scene scene that I have read ever. Him lifting her by the backs of her thighs happens in every scene. Okay, we'll let some of these go. Okay, I have a list of things that I let go as well. Okay, I grab his shoulders. The talk about him losing control. Now that I've said it, you're never gonna not see it. I'm gonna ruin all these scenes for you, by the way. You're not going to be able to read the next book without thinking, my God, Rachel predicted all of this. The word aching or ache is used. She says his name. We'll let that go. Obviously, who doesn't say their partner's name during sex? And then him saying, you're going to be the death of me, or just saying death of me. We'll let all of those go. Okay? We won't mention those in any of this. Do you see how much is on here that I still have to mention that is identical to each other? Yeah, look how much I left out. Look how nice I was. See? All right, so first we start through spearing fingers through hair. There's normally a sharp intake of breath, and or it talks about feeling, action, up or down part of body. So power rushes through me. Need dances down my spine. Flare of heat races down my spine. Okay, so that was Fourth Wing Scene 2, Iron Flame Scene 1, Onyx Storm Scene 1. Okay, 3 different places. Fourth Wing Scene 1, burst of pleasure radiates through my body. Iron Flame Scene 2, need coils down my spine. Onyx Storm Scene 2, tension gathers and coils. Iron Flame Scene 3, need floods my body. Onyx Storm Scene 3, his touch rouses a surge of power that only adds to the crackling heat gathering low in my belly. Okay, so it's feeling, does an action down or up my body part. And normally it's talking about something like heat or lightning. So she might even expand on this again, saying Iron Flame Scene 3, burning like an ember, a single touch is all it takes to send us both in flames. Or it's just talking about, it's just like the same sentence, but it's because he touches a particular part of her body. Need dances down my spine, number 1, need dances down my spine, and then he nips at her ear, sending a shudder down my spine. Like it's just, and these are chronological, by the way, so you can see that they're happening all in the same succession. The next thing that often happens, it doesn't happen in Fourth Wing Scene number 2, but it does happen in Iron Flame Scene number 1, mine, this man is mine. They're either thinking that or they're saying it out loud to each other. So that's like the next in the succession. It happens in Iron Flame Scene number 1, and then it also happens right up at the top in the succession, Onyx Storm Scene number 1, mine, he growls. It also happens in Onyx Storm Scene number 2, mine, it's the only word that comes to mind. See how early in the succession we still are, right at the top. But wait, we're 3 for 3 in Onyx Storm. It says right at the top, mine, I whisper. You see what I mean? Don't go anywhere because I have more. The next thing we do is talking about power. Fourth Wing Scene number 2, power rushes through me. Then not long after this, power whips out of with every wave of my climax. Now every is described this way. Now this in later books moves down where she's having a lot of early on in Fourth Wing Scene number 2. I know too much about this now. I know too much about Violet Sorrengail's orgasms. But the way that the orgasms are described is going to be the same, but we'll get to that later. The point is power rushes through me. And you'll notice we're starting to get to like this middle range here. So none in Iron Flame Scene number 1, right? Nope. So Onyx Storm Scene number 1 though, power whips through me. Fourth Wing Scene number 1 in the middle here, power surges. Onyx Storm Scene number 3, pleasure and power spiral. Another thing that we often do at this point is they have just been making out and getting horny, and then at this point the sequence of events is making out and getting horny. It feels like lightning, it feels like fire, it feels like flame. Where does it feel like flame? Typically racing up and down her spine, and then it moves on to him starting to work his way down on her, but he typically stops at her breast. So Fourth Wing Scene number 2, he sucks at the peak of my breast. Onyx Storm Scene number 1, teeth graze my breast. In at least 2 scenes, it says that when he enters her, and again, it's like his nudged at my entrance. So then when he's in there, it says he's seated at the hilt, which we have to let go because that's very common in romantasy. Everybody went to the Sarah J. Maas School of Writing. We have to let it go, right? What we're not going to let go is every single time I have to read the same sentence, which is he's in there, the pressure, the stretch. That was in Fourth Wing Scene number 2. This is Onyx Storm Scene number 2. The pressure, the stretch. Onyx Storm Scene number 3. So twice in the book, the pressure, the stretch, the depth. Also, we heard in 2 different books that he is her with the thick stab of his tongue. He goes down on her with the variation one time of her going down on him, but then I think he went down on her after, which is fine. I'm all for it. I'm just saying that in every scene, we do the exact same steps every single time. The amount of times that fire is listed here is like absolutely bonkers. Like, we can't get a synonym? I guess not, considering that I'm looking at the same scene 8 times. The next thing that happens is they mind speak to each other in every single Fourth Wing, scene number 2, Iron Flame, scene number 1, Fourth Wing, scene number 1. He can't get into her head in Onyx Storm, scene number 2, because they are outside of the continent where there is no power, and therefore they still talk about it, and he says, I miss being inside your head, because they are inside each other's head in basically every scene. Iron Flame, number 3, he talks to her in his head. The next thing is happening is that he is thrusting. So he sets a rhythm that has me aching. There's the word aching again. I like how he says, how do you want me in Onyx Storm? And then they just do the same that they always have. How do you want me? Same old. It's like when I tell Carlos what I want for dinner, it's always going to be sushi. Then in Iron Flame, scene number 2, he sets a hard, deep rhythm. Onyx Storm, number 3, he starts a deep pounding rhythm. So normally she starts to talk about how fire is coiled deep, tight in her belly, which she's like on the precipice of orgasm, right? Fire in my core is coiled tight in Fourth Wing, scene number 2. Onyx Storm, scene number 1, power coiled within me. Iron Flame, scene number 2, coiling pressure within me. Every single scene has her describing having an orgasm in tandem with her powers are letting loose. My power whips cracking through the room, shattering like glass. The last waves of my orgasm leave me shuddering. Lightning course, that was Fourth Wing, scene 2. This is Iron Flame, scene number 1. Lightning courses through me. It releases with a snap, flaring bright outside the windows. Onyx Storm, number 1. My power snaps, light flashes, pleasure crests in waves. Iron Flame, scene number 3. I shatter. Onyx Storm, scene number 3. Lightning strikes. And then she catches the scent of smoke because furniture is on fire. And it says that she smells smoke there, but she also smells smoke in Fourth Wing, scene number 1. Because typically they break furniture and start fires, and their power flashes, and they and it's always cresting in waves. You're welcome. So as you can see, ultimately, a good spicy scene is about far more than titillation and eroticism. It is about many things. It has to come together like a well-curated dish. It's about authenticity and emotional depth and character development. Whether we're in contemporary romance or historical romance like with Marion Hayes, or dark romance like Lights Out, or fantasy romance like, what is a fantasy romance that has an actually good spicy scene in it? I feel like The Wolf and the Woodsman did, and it wasn't bad. I think Mask of Mirrors had one, but it was more fade to black. Those are the only ones I can think of that are adult fantasy romance that I like genuinely love, that I don't hate the spicy scenes in. Yeah, I really can't think of any. Wow, I really am picky. The point is, despite the genre, spice should not just be something that characters do unless they're a schmex worker. I mean, if like in the context of like trying to create an emotional bond between reader and characters using a spicy scene, that's what I'm talking about. It should be something that further like transforms this couple into something that I'm actually interested in watching. I want to know what happens to them. I want these scenes crafted with attention to character and consent and language used that doesn't give me the ick, and context, because a spicy scene can really elevate a narrative. It can enrich an emotional arc, like definitely that's true for The Perfect Crimes of Marion Hayes. And I think it was true for the Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade as well. And it was certainly the case for The Dare by Harley LaRue. Like all of these seem to have that in common, you know, across genre. They satisfy both the sensual and the literary craving that I have from a book. And I don't mean like, again, like not for me, but like I want to see characters like explore that with each other if they want to. I want to root for them. That's what I mean by that. Like if they want to be sensual with each other, I want to see that happen for them and be like, aw, good for them. A bad spicy scene, on the other hand, has me wanting to call the police. It's just one that tries to titillate me without doing all of that work. It's detached from the characters, therefore it's detached from me. It's awkward in its execution and its use of language. It's hollow in its impact. And I want them to impact me. And I do think that a spicy scene can impact me. I don't know. My biggest takeaway from this is consent is key. And also euphemism is a drug. Use it responsibly. But all of this, all of this is what makes a spicy scene or breaks a spicy scene for me. It's not just about what's going where. It's about who's doing that and why that matters. I think you can write with your downstairs bits in mind. I'm not saying you can't, but I just also want you to write with that connected to your brain. Write with it connected to your head, your heart, and your loins, I guess. The loins should be the last stop. Still, please brain on first. Because the story and the characters and the stakes, that's the real aphrodisiac. Not using the words he growled 18,000 times. So go forth and write your spice. Just keep in mind, use language that makes sense and isn't icky. Earn your scenes. Consent is key. Or write however you want, because clearly a lot of y'all are writing scenes and it's working and readers are eating them up. So don't just write them for me. I'm just telling you what works for me and doesn't work for me. But I would love to hear from you. What works and does not work for you? What's your least favorite euphemism? What is your favorite spicy book? Please let me know in the comments, especially if you've read any of the ones that I read and if you enjoyed them. And if you made it this far, you can leave a fire emoji for the spice. All of this is so subjective. I mean, even spice levels in book, when I see people saying this is 3 spice chili peppers. Oh no, you should leave a chili pepper down below for spice. That's right. Chili pepper or fire, whatever you want. When people leave chili peppers, I'm like, yeah, but how, your chili peppers and my chili peppers could be totally different. Anyways, I think this is a really interesting conversation. What works and what doesn't is obviously super subjective. So let me know what works and doesn't for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hi, before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Alexander, Ashley H, Beck, Call Me Kodiak, Choco's Homesick for Taiwan, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodge, Eric D, Jade, Jill, John E, Jory, Julie, Kai Brecker has not read 6 of Crows, Kalaine OK, Katya, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips Loves Pride, Lemon Jelly, Lex, Other Lex, Lily, Maddie Miss, Megwin Rose, Melissa, Mixer Boneless, Not So Secretly a Skeleton, Peggy Lou Who, Piloting SRN, Rain, Ree, SJ, Samar, Scarlet, Steph B, 3 Raccoons in a Trench Coat, Urchin Audrey, and White Raven 13. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. Huge thank you to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, Aaron, Alejandra, Alicia, Bobisha, Banana, Fofana, Fofisha. What are we doing? Alicia, Althea, Amanda D, Andy, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ava, Barry, Baywing, Beck, Blue Moon Syrup, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Bridget 108, Kate B, Caitlin, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate, Kathy, Celeste, Che, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Cosmic Frog, Courtney, Darius, Danielle, Danita, Darren, Desiree Michelle, Dilf Enthusiast, Dorothea Supports Public Education, Draco-chan, Drive-By Thinker, Ebby, Emma, Aaron with 2 E's, Erica May, Aaron Starlight, Fox Waifu, Francis, Gadarn, Hannah C, Helen P, Hurry Singh, JM Tennant, Jackalope Max, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jen Michelle, Genderqueer, Jenny G, Jesse Ives, Jessa Sue, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, Caitlin M, Katie L, Katrina, Kayla, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, Kiara, KMTB, Kayana, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Lindsay M, LP, Lou Siri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Mataraptor, Madison, Man-Eating Plant, Megan, Malara, Mima Who, Morgan the Friendly Ghost, Myth Lesbian, NM Rap, Natural Blues, Nicole G, Paige P, Penelope, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Pick a God and Pray, Plague Carrier, Pandemonium, Queen Cereal, Rach, Rachel B, Rebecca, Rebecca R, Ren Flynn, Rhea, Reese, Ronnie, Rosie, Sikoria, Saintbringer, Sakya Lume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean, Sophie, Talia, That One Cute Chick, This Is Not a Trap, Too Thick to Work Tomorrow, Triple M, Tito Phoenix, and Unicorn Jenny. Thank you all so much for being a friend.